بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وبه نستعين على كل أمور الدنيا والدين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. نوينا التعلم والتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم، ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير، ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى، مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب السوفي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب السوفي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك العلم لدني ومشرب السوفي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. الحمد لله. We'll continue with our class. We have reached the what nullifies the prayer. Correct? We're here. We had what nullifies the prayer, Muftil Salah. And I think we've gone through this. We are at number 4. Are we at number 4? About speech in prayer, or we have finished speech in prayer? To break the fast intentionally in the prayer, to forgetfully eat a lot. Okay. Okay. I think yeah, correct. Are we there? Are we we finished the first 3, right? Have we? I can't remember because my mark just puts at the beginning of the chapter, so I don't see where we probably have finished. Do y'all see? Is it there? Yeah. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Section the factors that nullify the prayer are 14, right? تبطل الصلاة ب14 خصلة بالحدث وبوقوع النجاسة إن لم يلقى حالا من غير حمل، وانكشاف العورة إن لم تستر حالا، ونطق بحرفين أو حرف مفهم عمدا. Right, so we are correct or not? Yeah, can you all affirm where are we for your class? Somebody affirm? Where are we for the class? I will check the previous recording. Point 4, correct. Then we're right. Okay, so intentionally uttering one or two letters, it can be clearly understood. Right, so LC3, right? So speaking in the prayer, right? So when it comes to speaking in the prayer, whatever is intentional, even if it's one letter, right, that is understood, what is letter is, even if it's intentional, then it will cause for the prayer to be invalid. The prayer is invalidated when one or two letters worth of sounds, such as laughter, crying, groaning, clearing the throat, blowing, sighing, or similar are audible. If the need to cough arises involuntarily, a person should try his utmost to suppress it. However, if after trying hard the need still subsists, he may cough for relief, even if a sound or two or more syllables is formed. Right. So here, so for two letters, we speak about sounds, and there's this big difference here, right? So when it comes to one letter, it nullifies the prayer if it is an understood one letter, right? It's an understood one letter. In Arabic, there are words that are one letter long. There are words. So like for example, in Arabic, if someone says qi, right, qi in Arabic, right? So and last week we mentioned this is all we're speaking about Arabic letters, right? So if someone says qi like that, right, that in Arabic means beware. It actually means beware. Qi, right? It means beware. Right? So if let's say a mother is praying and she sees her child doing something dangerous and she says qi, on purpose, intending the meaning beware is one letter, that batalkan her solat. It nullifies her prayer. And for most of us, we don't actually do this. We don't actually say basically anything done on purpose nullifies the prayer, right? Anything done on purpose nullifies the prayer. So like even if someone were to just lift this and then expose the aurat like this on purpose, even if it's less than subhanallah, because you did it on purpose, it nullifies your prayer. Even if it's less than subhanallah, even so, because you did it on purpose. The only things you can do on purpose that does not nullify the prayer is to take steps. You can do movements. You can do movements on purpose. There is not more than three in a row. Then that does not nullify the prayer. But other than that, everything that you do on purpose nullifies the prayer. Okay, so so on purpose, inshallah, like we're not doing on purpose. Okay, when it comes to things that are involuntary, right? So Allahumma sayyidina Muhammad, let me go back up. Right. So but however, if it's a sound that does not have a meaning, right? A sound does not have a meaning, then the Sharia gives two letters. Right? So if you do two letters or more, right? So this is one letter. One letter, if it has a meaning, then batalkan the prayer. If it's two letters or more, right, then that nullifies the prayer. Right? So and if it's done on purpose lah, on purpose. Right? So for example, clearing the throat. So if you knowingly, right, on purpose, you clear your throat, you go right, there's two sounds that appears from your throat, right? That nullifies your prayer if that was done on purpose. Right? So you cannot be doing if it was subconscious, you didn't notice yourself, didn't realize yourself, then you were clearing your throat, that doesn't nullify your prayer. Right? However, it was on purpose, it nullifies your prayer. Right? So if you're aware lah, if you're aware, you need to stop yourself from making these sounds. Right? Similarly, like laughing. Right? Someone is amused by something while they're in prayer. That means they're not focusing in their prayer, but they're amused by something happening outside. Right? Then they just right? They laugh a little bit. Sounds nullifies the prayer. Right? The prayer batal, because laughing is counted to be something that is on purpose. Right? Laughing is on purpose, because laughing, you're doing laughing, you're supposed to stifle your laugh. You're supposed to stifle your clearing of the throat. So you feel your throat being uncomfortable, and you need to clear it. You need to stifle it. You need to try like swallow saliva, or try to stifle the need to clear the throat. Similarly, yawning. So yawning, sometimes people when they yawn, they let out sound. They go that goes like ha. This is a ha and alif. So there's a lot of sounds coming out. Sneezing as well. So some people when they sneeze, they have a sound from their throat coming out. So you say achoo. Say achoo. There's all sounds coming out of your throat. So if it's letters that are not meaningful, not meaningful letters, then two maximum. A person could say before the prayer becomes nullified. Right? And if it's understood letters, right, then one maximum if it was intentional. However, forgetful what about forgetful speech? Right? So for forgetful speech in the prayer, right, right, will be 4 to 6 words. 4 to 6 words forgetful speech, and that is, as you mentioned last week, that is only in Arabic. So if you said forgetful speech in Arabic, then 4 to 6 words allowed. right? And so you say, what would be forgetful speech in Arabic? I might say, right? So like for example, if someone were to say, were to respond to a salams, and someone comes in and says assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam, so forgetful, you were not aware, or you just automatic, right, that you said wa alaikum salam, right? Or someone sneezed and said alhamdulillah, then automatically you say yarhamukallah, yarhamukallah to that person without even realizing you said it. That is forgetful speech. Or you thought your prayer had ended, you're still seated, right? And then someone speaks to you and says that and says to you, you did you did 3 rak'ats. Then you say if you speak in Arabic lah, it's salat rak'at, right? 3 rak'at, and then you should stand up and do the 4th one, right? So basically in Arabic lah. But if you speak in English, then batal. No matter how many words you speak in English, it is all nullified. You cannot be speaking in the English language. Okay. Speaking in the prayer to notify the Imam. Alright, that is very important. When you are praying and the Imam is making a mistake, right? So, of course, for women, if the Imam makes a mistake, you're supposed to clap. You're supposed to just strike your hand once. Just one time strike your hand. That's all. For the men, this is subhanallah. Okay, for the men, when they say subhanallah, they must niyat zikr. They must intend zikr with their subhanallah. If they intend that they are trying to communicate with the Imam in saying subhanallah, then that counts as speech in the prayer, right? And that is done on purpose. It's the entire word, right? So it will nullify the prayer. Right? Same thing also if the Imam recites the Quran wrongly. Right? So the Imam recites an ayat wrongly, you want to correct the Imam, or the Imam forgot the ayat, you want to correct the Imam. Right? So when before you speak up, you need to bring to your heart the intention you are reciting Quran in prayer. Zikr is a zikr. You're not trying to communicate with the Imam. Okay, so when you read out loud the ayat that the Imam had forgotten or made a mistake in, you need to make this intention in your heart. Okay, right? So because if you don't, then it will nullify your prayer as and it will be counted as speech in the prayer. So you need to niyat that I'm doing zikr and reading Quran in the prayer, then you read the ayat out loud, right? And the Imam will hear it and the Imam will correct himself. Okay. Tamam, there's number 63. So number 5. So I hope you understand that there are a few things here for number 63. Just be very careful, right? Whether it was intentional or unintentional, right? So on the other hand, you say if unintentional, right? Then 4 to 6 words, right? Everything is counted in Arabic. Okay. So unintentional, 1 if has meaning. If the word has meaning, then you only even 1 letter, dah batal. 2 letters, right? If has no meaning. Right, like yawning, laughing, clearing your throat, right, and so on. All of these things have no meaning. You're given up to 2 letters, right? So sometimes even a sigh, like sometimes you like that, even like you sigh in your prayer, even crying, excessive crying in the prayer can cause the prayer to be nullified. So when somebody goes like that, right? There is extra sounds, right, from your voice box. Sniffing does not nullify your prayer. Sniffing doesn't, because it's not from your voice box, it's from your nose, right? So the sounds here means from anywhere in your mouth cavity. So from your lips to your the mouth, inside the throat, the voice box, anywhere here that's making a sound, right? That is and also the ghunna is counted as well. So if someone like is praying and then the child is doing something that is dangerous or not supposed to do, and you go like that, and you go you're basically doing a lot of memes lah, or I can't think of a way whereby you could do this without using your mouth. If you probably can't do it without using your mouth. You probably have to use your mouth. Okay. Right, to break the fast intentionally in the prayer. Okay, number 64. any action that invalidates the fast, like inserting a stick into the body cavity. If you're doing that in the prayer, lah, if you happen to be doing that in the prayer, right? So a stick into the body cavity, meaning through the ears, right, or deep into the nose, or through the private parts, or through the mouth, which is highly, inshallah, highly unlikely that someone is doing this while they are praying. Right? So do it to invalidate the fast in any way in doing it in doing any of this. Okay, so as I said, highly unlikely. But if someone does it somehow or other, it goes inside their body while they are praying, then it will nullify their prayer. Because it's counted to be as if they are eating. Okay. To forgetfully eat a lot. What is the meaning of a lot? The meaning of a lot is more than, let's see. Right. The prayer is invalidated even when any even a little substance reaches the body cavity intentionally. If it's on purpose, again remember, if it's on purpose, batal. Right, there's no discussion at all. If something is done on purpose, batal. Right, the prayer is nullified. There is no discussion if it's on purpose. The discussion happens with things that are done absent-mindedly, because the Sharia, is a Sharia of mercy, right? So we Allah knows that we will do things absent-mindedly, right? So if our prayer is to be batal every single time we do something absent-mindedly, then what prayers do we have? And everything is batal. The prayer is batal. The prayer is batal, right? So with absent-mindedness, there is leeways in the Sharia, right? So if it's on purpose, intentionally, it invalidates. So what is eating in prayer? Who is in prayer? So eating in prayer happens of two types. Let me just you can draw it up on top, you can draw it at the bottom, up to you. Right? So eating in prayer happens in two types. Right? So food stuck, like in teeth. Right? The food is stuck in the teeth and that comes out, right? Or the taste of the food still there. Still in your saliva, right? Which means that you're drinking, right? If the taste of the food is still in your saliva, right? Like, say for example, you eat chocolate, the chocolate is stuck in your teeth, right? You move your saliva around, the saliva will carry the chocolate around your mouth. You should have brushed your teeth before you pray to get rid of the remains of the chocolate that's in your teeth lah, right? And another way whereby a person might be eating or drinking will be by mucus. Right? Mucus, phlegm, right? Blood. But of course, with blood, right, comes because when blood comes out in your mouth, it won't stay in its position. It will move around the mouth. So when it moves around the mouth, it makes your entire mouth mutanajis. So your entire mouth becomes mutanajis. Then najasa is najis. Right? So you need to break or prayer. Prayer has been nullified because of the najis that's moving around your mouth. It's not the same like a wound on the outside of your face. Then there's blood coming out of it. Right? The blood stays where it is, doesn't go anywhere else. But in the mouth, as you are reciting in the prayer, the saliva moves the blood all around. Then you taste in your mouth. There's a blood taste in your mouth, right? And then even once you swallow the blood, right? So you do have no where to put the blood. You swallow the blood. If you remove the blood from your mouth, now the blood is on your hand. Right? So the najis are just spread even further away from the mouth. The najis here, najis everywhere. Subhanallah. Then your solat dah batal. If someone is sick and has constant bleeding from the mouth, it happened to me once when I was in Tarim. You don't think things will happen to you. I had a terrible lung infection. I was in Tarim, so I was coughing out blood. And it will happen every 5 minutes or every minute or so. I will cough and cough and cough and cough, and literally my lende is all blood. Right, my phlegm is all blood. Right, so in that situation, what do I do? Correct. Right, so every time I cough only blood. I cannot pray. Right, because I cannot pray properly because blood keeps coming out. So what's the ruling on me? Because I'm not well, I'm sick. Right. So the ruling is, every time I cough, right, and blood comes out, I don't swallow the blood back in, right, but I spit the blood out onto a tissue, and I continue praying in that way, then I take note of how many prayers I prayed in that way with najis on me, because I'm sick. So if najis is on me, how many prayers I pray in that way, then later on I do a qada. When I get better, I do a qada. Right, that is Sharia lah, Sharia. Right, so of course, with sick people, mashallah, like a lot of times when they're sick, they do tayammum lah, they do this, they do that, and they eventually kena qada. Right, they have to qada anyway, because the conditions of the prayer are not met. Right, no, mashallah. Okay, but then of course more reward lah for them because of their striving, their struggle and everything. They're sick also, they want to pray, and then after they finish praying also, it's not counted also anyway because of all the najis around them. And then later on qada, when they're better, subhanallah, maybe bring them close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, the two ways by which food can happen to you in prayer, because of course it doesn't make sense for someone to take like rice and then feed themselves in the prayer, right? Doesn't, like, you won't have like a packet drink and you drink the packet drink while you're in prayer. Doesn't make sense, right? So these are the ways by which a person might eat in the prayer, that the food is already stuck in the teeth, and then or there's taste in the saliva, and that counts as drinking. Right, so it invalidates the prayer if it occurs absent-mindedly or in ignorance of its prohibition, provided the amount of a substance is commonly acknowledged to be much, though not invalidated if it is little. Right, so what is much and what is little? Right, so too much. Right, I mean, just put it as little there. Right, little amount of food. Right, is less, that means less than 1 sesame seed. Okay, less than 1 sesame seed. You're given that. It's lucky absent-minded. Right, so let's say like you're praying, then like a tiny crumb of bread or something, tiny, teeny, tiny. And you wonder, when I learned, I was wondering, how do I know how big the food is? I don't know how big is the food in my mouth, right? So but they say this is what the books in fiqh will say. They will say less than 1 sesame seed or 1 black seed, 1 habatu sauda. So how small is habatu sauda? About habatu sauda and sesame seeds are about the same size, eh? I say, how small is it? Okay, so for example, an example would be you actually ate habatu sauda. You ate sesame seeds, right? And then you bite a bite, right? Then you swallow, and some of the crumbs, tiny bit, small amounts, stuck in your teeth, right? So while you're praying, it comes out as you're reciting. It comes out without thinking about it. So you're absent-minded, right? You swallow it. Then you think yourself, batal tak? Absent. First and foremost, it was absent-mindedly. You did not swallow it on purpose. Absent-minded. So think to yourself, that was high chances that was less than 1 sesame seed, because it was probably a broken seed, because I bite the seeds, right? So it's probably a broken seed, right? So then you can continue praying. It doesn't break your salat. Anything more than that, okay, for a little amount of drink, kalau drink, right, is 1 drop. 1 drop, 1 qatra. That's what they say in Arabic. 1 qatra, 1 drop. Right, so of course, if your saliva is full of chocolate in your saliva, or is something is full of it, right? This is not to be misunderstood, right? With spiciness. When you eat something that is spicy, right? The spiciness is on the taste buds, is not in the saliva. So like you eat something really pedas, really spicy, then you drink water, you try and get rid of it. It's actually your taste buds that are burning because of the spiciness. The pedas is not in your the spiciness is not in your saliva anymore. It's just in your taste buds. That one's okay. So you can continue to pray, because otherwise you'll be saying, but I'm trying to get rid of the taste of the spiciness. It won't go away. It will stay there. That's your taste buds that are affected. So it's not in your saliva. Because when you spit out, do you see a color in your saliva? No. Usually if you eat sambal or whatever, and you drink water, try and wash it down. When you spit out, you won't see a color in your saliva. But if you eat chocolate, right, and then you try and you wash it out in your mouth, right, it is possible that when you spit out later on, you see like a brownishness in your saliva, right? Have you seen that? Have you seen when you go you spit out, it's a bit brown, right? That means your saliva is still mixed with chocolate. So you need to keep gargling your mouth until your saliva comes out clean. Then you go and pray. Okay, right, so you don't go and pray with still chocolate in your mouth. The high chances of you swallowing the chocolate and invalidating your prayer. Okay, that is about food that is stuck in your teeth or in your saliva. So comes the question: what if I'm praying and then I detect or I feel food being stuck in my teeth, like, or saliva shouldn't be, because you should have washed off everything before you pray. Don't go and pray with tastes in your mouth. Like, wash your mouth cleanly, then go and pray. Otherwise, you cannot khushu. You're gonna khushu if you chocolate all in your mouth. Right? Go and wash your mouth first. Okay, so while you're praying, you say, okay, I feel something coming out of my teeth. I feel something appearing. What should I do? Very simple. I bring the food to the tip of your tongue. Here, to the tip of your tongue, right? And leave it there. Right? High chances that it will stay there till the end of the prayer. If you feel very uncomfortable with something at the tip of your tongue, right, then you can bring the food out of your mouth. You can leave it on your face if you want, or you can just wipe it on your sleeve. And bring your sleeve up and wipe the food on your sleeve, because the food is not najis. It does not nullify your prayer. It's nothing. So you just food on your sleeve lah. You can bring it out. If you want to bring it out, you can bring it out. Okay, going down to the next ones: mucus and phlegm and blood. Okay, so basically, mucus from the nose. All right. Mucus from the nose going backwards into your gullet, right, into your esophagus here, right? That kind of mucus does not nullify the fast nor prayer. Can I repeat? It does not nullify the fast nor prayer. Mucus that goes backwards into your throat, straight away into your stomach. Why? Right, because the kind of mucus which is drawing, this is your neck, this is your neck, this is your mouth, this is your nose. Okay, and there's your ears. Okay, so here, nasal cavity, down, right? The nasal cavity, down. This is the mouth cavity. It joins up. You know that your mouth and your nose joins, and then it goes down to your throat. Okay, you all know, Okay, if the mucus here is a different color. Okay, if the mucus here, right, it keeps dripping. It drips, it goes down. And it goes into your stomach. If you're fasting, it gives you a stomach ache, because so much mucus coming into your stomach. Right, this one that goes straight down does not nullify your salat, does not nullify your fast, because it's beyond your control. And it's a fluid that is within your body. So fluids within your body, you have you're not questioned about. They're within your body. It's beyond your control. However, if this mucus on its way down, you go and cough it up. Right, so as the mucus goes down, then you and then or you pulled it out. It was you, right? So you on purpose pulled it out, right? And then so the mucus, or you coughed it out, and so the mucus now comes here onto your tongue. The moment the mucus has come onto your tongue, right, at where you can say cough, at the cough level, right? So you say oh, right? So not ka, right? Ka, the qaw level, right? So on the tongue, right? If the mucus is on your tongue, then you need to throw it out. Okay, you need to throw it out, right? But if the mucus is here, at the ra or the ha, right, part of your throat, ra and the ha, that's still quite behind. They're still far behind. Ain even more behind lah. If you at your ain level, at the ha and a, at there, that one of course cannot reach. That's mid throat. That's here. Okay, that's here. You can't reach that one. If it's here, ha, ha, that one with effort you can pull it out, but you're not required to put in that effort. You're not required, because you say, okay, there's something at the ha of my throat or the ha of my throat. Do I have to because to bring it out, you have to make a sound. You have to go right to try and bring it out. Like that's how we hear, like sometimes in the time api when they want to spit, right, they will make this very loud sound, and then they will bring out the mucus or the phlegm. Same ruling for phlegm. And mucus, same ruling. The only difference is that for mucus, it appears in your nose and it goes down. For phlegm is from your lungs and it's coughed up. Right. So phlegm is from the lungs, is coughed up, then it's from the windpipe, it goes to the gullet. Right. So usually it stays around this area, phlegm. But sometimes the coughing is really strong that the phlegm comes out. So the ruling is, if it comes to the cough, to the cough level of your tongue, that means right at the end of your tongue, that you can actually bring it forward without effort. That means you don't have to make a sound to bring it forward. Like it can actually just come. It's really in your tongue on your tongue, right? So if the phlegm is coughed up onto the tongue, or the mucus is dripped, and then you go and bring it back up onto the tongue. So now this mucus on the tongue, you need to get rid of it. And you cannot swallow it back in, because now it's within your ability. It's in your hands basically. It's in your ability to get rid of it. And so what do? You need to bring your sleeve, right? If you're praying, right? And you spit the mucus onto your sleeve. Right? It's not najis, it's mucus, right? Or it's mucus or it's phlegm, it's not najis. Right? And then continue praying. So your sleeve will be filled with mucus or phlegm. If you know you're having a runny nose, if you know you're having a cough, carry a tissue. Right? So as you pray, you have a wad of tissue in your hands. Right? So every time you cough out or you sneeze, and then the mucus is on your tongue, then you just let go of it onto the tissue, especially if you're fasting in Ramadan, right? Because you cannot swallow this. Right? It will nullify your fast. Okay, hope that's clear. About blood, as I mentioned about blood, right? If the moment you taste blood in your mouth, that means your mouth is mutanajis. There's najis in your mouth, which is why you need to go and break a prayer and clean out your mouth from the najis in your mouth. If you spit out and you see najis on your hands, then even worse, right? The najis now has moved to the hands, right? All the more you need to go and wash your mouth. If it's an illness that you're going through, then as I mentioned, you do the best of what you can, and then later on do a qada, right, of whatever prayers that were deficient. Okay. If there are any questions, you can ask your questions, inshallah. Mucus from the front of the nose, right? It means from dripping from your nose. Of course, you cannot swallow lah. It's outside of your body altogether. It's here, right? So you cannot like drink it in. We need to wipe it off. Blood from the nosebleed. Okay, nosebleed. As long as you don't touch it, as long as you don't touch the nosebleed, your prayer is still sah. It's still valid as long as you don't touch it. Right? But the moment you touch and then you look at your finger, nosebleed. Right? So you feel, and usually those people who actually get nosebleed, you're used to getting nosebleed, you can sense if you're getting a nosebleed. You can sense it. Right? So when I was in Syria, I used to get a lot of nosebleeds because of the weather, the winter and the pressure and everything. So I will get nosebleed. Right? So you can actually sense it. Right? You feel like there'll be a slight pain, right, in the nose, like the pressure, then a warmth, right, and then there'll be blood, right, at the nose. Right? So for as long as you don't touch it, your prayers are no problem, because it is counted as a bleeding. Right? A bleeding from your own self, that kind of blood is forgiven. It's not counted as najis that nullifies your prayer, because it's blood from your own self. Like for example, blood from a pimple. Right? So if you squeeze the pimple before you prayed, and then now the pimple is bleeding non-stop because you squeezed it, you wash it's still bleeding, but the blood stays where it is. Even if the blood trickles, it's no problem, because the blood moved by itself. You did not move it. As opposed to the mouth, you move the blood with your tongue. Right? So as you speak, your tongue and your saliva is moving the blood around. Okay, so as long as the blood is where it is, even if it's a full wound, a gash in the back of someone's, like for example, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, they whipped him until his skin split, right? And there was blood all over his back, all over his clothes, everywhere blood, right? But it's all his blood, right? So when he washed, right, off the blood and he would pray, right, the blood will still flow. Right, because it's of the amount of whipping that they afflicted on the great Imam, right? And this tyrants, right, they would mock him and say, oh, what kind of great Imam is this, right, that prays blood on their body, with najis on their body. Then he very simply answered, Umar bin al-Khattab, when he was stabbed, that will cause his death, and he had they said that the wound was so big that they could put their hand into the wound. His son Abdullah bin Umar said that he saw his father with the wound so big, like on his body, because the Abu Lu'lu'ah, the one who killed Sayyidina Umar, right? His dagger was like, it was jagged, right? So when he killed Sayyidina Umar, he opened up the wound of Sayyidina Umar. Actually, so Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, you could actually put your hand through his body, like, of the kind of wound, but he was still alive. Sayyidina Umar still alive, and had to pray subuh. Right? So he prayed subuh like that. He prayed subuh with his blood flowing. Right? Is that blood all najis? No. It's all ma'afu anhu. It's all forgiven. Why? Because his own blood. It's not anybody else's blood, and he did not move his blood. Right? His blood is moving by itself. Same thing, So same thing if nose bleed, right? As long if it moves by itself, as long as you don't touch it, you cannot touch it, and you cannot cause it to move. It's hard lah. If it goes further down to your lips and everything, then you have to avoid it from entering into your mouth, and you try to. So of course by then usually you would break a prayer, and then you go and clean it off, and you come pray again. But if it's staying where it is, when I was in Syria, my nose bleed used to stay right here. It won't go past. It will just stay around my nostrils. It will just stay there, right? So I know if I touch to check what is it, then I will see the blood. Then I know batal. I cannot touch. Cannot think of what is it. After pray, then touch. Oh, blood. Right, nosebleed. Okay. Tamam. Continuing. So I hope all this you all understand, following the mas'ala. I'm going into the mas'ala. I mean into mas'ala means the different situations, a situational discussion lah. Alright. Okay, so here the second part. However, if really trying hard, the need to cough still subsists, or clearing the throat subsists, then you may do so just enough for you to recite the Fatiha or the At-Tahiyah, right? Because sometimes it blocks your wajib recitation, right? So to recite Fatiha, so you're doing Fatiha halfway, then something comes up in your throat, and you're like, I cannot continue reciting. My throat has something inside. Right? You cannot continue reciting. So you're allowed to like that. Just do a quick one, and then just enough to continue your Fatiha recitation, because Fatiha is wajib. Okay. And then sound pula. No, we're talking about food. Back there. Right, so Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Tamam? Right, so that is a little food and little drink. Okay, going back to the statements here. Alright, so to 3 consecutive motions, even if involuntarily. Right, 3 consecutive motions. Less than 3 voluntarily does not nullify your prayer. What is the meaning of consecutive? So it's 3 or more. So the more you do 1, 2, 3, batal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, batal. So you're supposed to do 1, 2, stop. 1, 2, stop. Okay, so if you go 1, 2, 3, like, or for example, someone goes 1, 2, 3, and they move their hands, right? So they want to scratch 1, 2, 3, they move their hands. The moment hits a 3, batal. Right, even if it's involuntarily. What is consecutive? Consecutive means, right, no, to, ma, ni, na, in, between. So if you have to do a movement, if you have to move in your prayer, and you know this movement will take more than 3 motions, and so you know that this movement, or what you have to do, will take more than 3 motions. So what do? You do 2, you wait for subhanallah, level of subhanallah, like a moment, then you do 2 more, then you wait for level of subhanallah, then you do 2 more, then you wait for level of subhanallah. Okay, right? So like, for example, if someone's praying in saf, so there are people here, someone's praying here, someone's praying here, and someone's praying here, and someone's praying here. Okay? And you are behind. A few of you praying behind. The top view, top view. So someone nullifies their prayer and they leave the jama'ah. Okay? There's a big gaping, a gap in the saf in front of you. What is correct is that the person right behind the gap goes in and fills up the gap. That is actually correct. Not that the ones on the side do so. But most people don't know. Most people, the ones on the side, they were moving, because it was on the side, the gap would just keep moving. Kan? Right? The gap will not go away. If you move into that gap, the gap next to you, the gap that you, the part that you occupied, will now have a gap. Correct. Right? Then you say, but same thing about the one who's behind one. But that's easier because, you see, because if this happens at the first saf, right, and then there are like there's a long saf of people. If people keep moving to fill up the gap, right, it will keep continuing till the end of the saf, and the gap is still there. Like the gap has not gone away. But if the person behind moves forward to fill up the gap, right, then the one behind him moves forward, right. If it's 3 saf, for example, 3 saf, then you're done. After 3 saf, right, enough people have moved in for the gap, so you limit number of people who are moving. It's by right lah, right? But our society, most people will not go to the front saf if they're already in prayer. Even when they're not in prayer, before they start praying also, they don't move in front. You like, hey, this is a gap here, move in front. People behind still standing where they are. They say, come in front. They're still standing where they are. They say, come in front. Right, but they're still standing where they are. You know, subhanallah, you should move forward. Right, if there's a gap in front of you should move forward. Okay, so to go back to the story. If you're praying, right, and the guy in front of you nullifies their prayer and they go out, right, so now you have to move in front, right, but there is quite a space between you and the front stuff. So what do? You take 1 step, 2 steps, right? So 1 step you appear here, 2 steps you appear here, you stop for a while. Okay, subhanallah level, subhanallah. Then 1 step, 2 step, and you have arrived. Okay, so there are 4 movements altogether, but they are not consecutive. They are not consecutive movements. Similarly, for a woman who is praying with a child, if you're praying with a child and you keep picking up your child and putting your child down, first and foremost, you need to ensure your child has no najis. If your child has najis, you cannot be picking up your child and bringing your child back down over and over again. Be very careful about this. Right? So if your child has no najis and you're always picking the child up, put the child back down, ensure you're not doing more than 3 consecutive motions. If there's more than 3 consecutive motions, pause for a while, level of subhanallah, then continue 2 more. Tamam? Okay, even if involuntarily. Like, so for example, if someone were to push you, right, so you're praying and someone from behind, pushed you, and then you took 1-2 steps. So 2 steps is okay, but if they push you very hard and you took 1-2-3 steps, you took 3 steps forward, right? So that if that was involuntarily, but it nullifies the prayer. Okay, that's batal. You batal your prayer there. Okay, let me go down. What 66 Okay. So the prayer is invalidated by adding even absent-mindedly a motion that is not one of the actions of prayer, provided it is both considered by the urf to be much and uninterruptedly consecutive. So you're taking 3 steps or successfully moving 3 separate body parts like the head and 2 hands, though an up and down motion is considered as just one or 3 or more consecutive motions. Right? So for example, if someone let's see, Allahumma salli Muhammad. Right? So okay, what are motions that are not significant? It has to be significant motions. So what are not significant motions? Right? Non-significant motions will be the movements of fingers. Right? So moving your fingers, moving your toes, moving your lips, right? These are all insignificant motions. Right? So if I bring my hand up, right, I move my hand up 1. I use my finger, I scratch myself, I scratch. However much you want, with how many fingers you want, doesn't matter. As long as only your fingers move. So you scratch all your fingers, doesn't matter. It does not nullify your prayer because finger movement is insignificant. It's not a significant movement, it's insignificant. So you can scratch with all your fingers, then you're done, move down. It's up to you. right? It's not it does not nullify the prayer. Okay. Sudden movements, the entire body movement, like for example jumping. Right? So somebody say, but jumping is one movement. No, jumping, your entire body moved. Right? So if you were to jump, right, so you're praying and you jumped. You jumped on the spot for some reason. Right? Maybe cockroach ke apa, because something came to you. Then on the spot you jumped. Right? Nullifies your prayer. Batal. Your prayer dah batal. Okay? Right, so an extra moment that is contrary to the habit of a sane person. Right, so why would a person be jumping in their prayer? Right, so it's contrary to the habit of a sane person, such as jumping. Right, what about shivering? I say, what about shivering? Of course, shivering is something you cannot control. You cannot hold yourself about shivering. Right, so like for me personally, I get shivers at different parts of my prayer. Whenever I slawat, I will shiver. Whenever and it's a shiver I cannot control. I'm unable to control the shiver. Right, so that is counted as an insignificant movement. Insignificant. Right, so it will be like, I don't know if people get it, but it will be like something like this. It's a very quick shiver. Right, that comes for me specifically when I pray. Specifically when I pray, it will come to me. So it is insignificant. An excessive strike of the hand, right? So again, it is a big movement, right? A big movement. Number 68, bottom there. Okay, one or two slight movements do not invalidate the prayer. If a person only moves one finger to scratch an itching place, the prayer does not is not nullified, even if he moves the fingertip many times, right? So but if he uses his hand and he hits someone, right, if he hits someone excessively or he hits himself excessively, right, then that will nullify the prayer. But then again, still with three movements, there has to be three movements, right? But so if that, I would not be able to imagine how, unless it goes against what a sane person would do lah, like that you just you hit your thigh super hard for some reason, right? That one would nullify your prayer, because that is playing in the prayer, right? Playing in the prayer, not taking the prayer seriously. Okay, I want to actually finish it the what nullifies the prayer, right? So that next week can go into the Sunan Rawatib. Alright, so here Allahumma salli Muhammad. Right, so here number 10, to intentionally add an extra physical integral to the solat. Number 69, when a person intentionally performed an extra integral, for example 3 sujuds or 2 ruku's in one raka'at on purpose, straight away batal. The moment they move for it, batal. The moment they move for it knowing it is an extra integral, batal. Right, they cannot do it, they cannot extra put in another. Which is why for sujud sahwi you must intend. So after you have done 2 sujuds, you niyat sujud sahwi, right, dari ta'ala, then you sujud. So it is known you're not doing an extra sujud, but you're doing sujud sahwi. Okay, you must niyat. Same thing also if after you do 4 rak'ats, the imam stands for a 5th one. The imam is forgetful. For the one who is forgetful, they are pardoned, right? But the one who is doing on purpose, so you are praying, you pray 4 rak'ats, you know very well it's 4 rak'ats, you have no doubt it's 4 rak'ats. The imam stands for the 5th rak'at. What do you have to do? What are you going to do now? You cannot follow the imam. You cannot stand and follow the imam. You must stay where you are, right? And you must you can stay where you are and wait for the imam to come back, or you can break away from the imam and salam to yourself. Right, but you cannot stand up, because standing up is you adding an extra physical integral to the prayer, an extra physical rukun to the prayer that will nullify the prayer. Okay, 11 and 12 similarly, to precede the imam in 2 physical integrals of the prayer is to do things faster than the imam. So like for example, before the imam by two physical integrals, which is something that is highly unlikely. For you to go ahead of the imam by 2. 1 is possible, because for 1, like some people sometimes they sujud before the imam. The imam takbir, the imam has not finished doing the sujud yet, the makmum already sujud. That's possible. Very makruh. It will cause them to lose the reward of jama'ah in doing that. Right, so if the Imam takbir, you wait where you are until you see the Imam finish his sujud or finish his movement, then you move. You don't move together with the Imam. You wait for the Imam to finish his movement, then you move. That is a sunnah. But unfortunately, many people don't know this, and they follow the Imam. The moment the Imam move, they move. You need to wait for the Imam to finish, then you move. That is sunnah, that is better. And so if someone were to precede the Imam by one rukun, that does not nullify the prayer, but their reward for Jama'ah zero. They get no reward for Jama'ah, because they have done something makruh in the Jama'ah. But by two rukuns, two physical integrals, that nullifies their prayer, batal. That's all. Batal. Right, so to proceed, highly unlikely. I can't think of an example of why a person would be preceding the Imam. I can't think of an example. Like for example, I can't think of why would someone do that, right? But if being delayed by two integrals without an excuse, that one possible to happen to a person, especially if the Imam is very fast. Right, so you can be delayed by two integrals without an excuse. Right, here there is a full explanation with regards to Fatiha, and if you like behind the Imam, right, which remind me, I will do it in the next lesson, inshallah. So number 12, there's a full discussion about it. Alright, to delay with two integrals without an excuse. What is a valid excuse? And if you have an excuse, till when, right, can you delay behind the Imam? Number 14. The intention of terminating the prayer by suspending its termination on a foreign action. Right, so the moment you niyat to terminate your prayer, right, based on something else, right? So for example, if you say, okay, so for example, you begin to pray, you say, okay, I'm praying, I'm waiting for a call, right? So you think to yourself, the moment the call comes, I will batal my prayer, right? I will nullify my prayer. The moment you say that to yourself, your prayer dah batal dah. Your prayer has been nullified. It has been nullified already. The moment you attach your intention to an outside thing, like your phone ringing or the doorbell, so you're waiting for someone to come to your house, the person's not appearing, so you say, okay, I'm going to pray my Sunat Zuhur. But you say, okay, once I hear the doorbell, I'm going to batal my prayer and go and answer the doorbell. You didn't even begin your prayer to start with, because you already intended to batal your prayer. You cannot enter into the prayer with the intention to batal it. You cannot do that. Right, so number going down. Right. So here, let me clear all the drawings. Let me just read through all the footnotes. To complete two integrals before the Imam does invalidate the prayer. If one does so absent-mindedly or in ignorance of his prohibition, it does not invalidate the prayer, but the rakat is not counted, and they must now add another rakat after the Imam finishes with salam to complete the prayer. How is it possible someone does it absent-mindedly or out of ignorance? Possible. Like for example, okay, this one. For example, Imam in sujud. Okay, Imam, right, in sujud. Ma'mum also in sujud. Ma'mum not sure, because the Imam's sujud was so long. The Ma'mum not sure, has the Imam gotten up? So the Imam's sujud was so long that the Ma'mum, he got back up, he sat up, and then he saw, the Imam's in sujud. So he didn't just move his head, but he sat up. He sat up with the intention of sitting. He just sat all the way up, so the Imam in sujud, then he went all the way down in sujud. So now what has happened to the Ma'mum? Right, the Ma'mum, I'm not saying that he looked up. Looking up does not count as you sitting up. Looking up is looking up to see the Imam dah habis sujud or not. Right? Because you're not so sure. The Imam's so long, and then you look up to see, is the Imam sitting down? Then you look up, you bring your head up to see the Imam. And then you see the Imam, the Imam is still in sujud. Okay, go back down. You go back down to the sujud. Doesn't nullify your prayer. But if this person went to sit up with the back straight, sitting up already, and then so the Imam still in sujud, then go back down to sujud. So now the person has performed 1 integral, 2 integrals ahead of the Imam, right? If they realize their mistake, they cannot get up from the sujud until the Imam comes to his second sujud. Right? The Imam needs to sit and the Imam needs to sujud again. Right? Then he come up with the Imam. But if he comes up before the Imam comes up of this sujud, then he has gone ahead of the Imam by two rukun. Of course, at this point, you will say that for him, it was absent-minded or it was ignorance. He didn't know if the Imam had gotten up or not. But he go and sit up for what, right? Why do you sit up? My God, just look on it lah. They have to sit up. Right, mashallah. Okay, number 71, footnote here. Without an excuse, it is makruh to lag behind the Imam until he completed an integral, and it invalidates the prayer if you lag behind him by 2 complete integrals. This is quite difficult to lag behind and to be forward by 2 integrals. It is quite difficult actually, right? Because you have to do 2 movements and finish both movements before the Imam even begins to move. So which means that the Imam, for example, the Imam is standing. If the Ma'mum ruku and i'tidal, right, and the Imam is still standing, okay, the moment the Ma'mum wants to sujud, batal. Right, that means the Ma'mum has done 2 full movements completely before the Imam has even finished the first one. Understand? Right, so it's not that when the Ma'mum comes to i'tidal, it batal. No, when the Ma'mum actually moves down to sujud, so he has done 2 complete integrals of ruku and i'tidal. Ruku complete, i'tidal complete. Imam still standing. Imam didn't move, and they sujud. That one batal. Right, the prayer batal. So similarly, the other way around, lagging behind without any proper reason. So the Imam, this is the Imam, right? The Imam ruku, the Ma'mum still standing, right? So that's 1. Imam i'tidal. Okay, Ma'mum need to move already. If Ma'mum is not going to move, then if the moment the Imam moves out into sujud, now the Imam has done 2 integrals ahead of the Ma'mum. If the Ma'mum has not moved yet, then Ma'mum's prayer batal if the Ma'mum has no excuse. Right? What is a proper excuse? So no excuse meaning, for example, the Ma'mum is just daydreaming. The Ma'mum is reading a long surah after Fatiha. These are not excuses. Right? So the Ma'mum wants to read Surah Yasin, in the prayer. They want to follow the Imam on the Surah Yasin. So the Imam dah ruku', dah i'tidal, coming down to sujud, Ma'mum still doing Surah Yasin. Batal Ma'mum. Ma'mum's prayer nullified. So what's a proper excuse? An excuse is Imam too fast, or Ma'mum too slow. Ma'mum new to Islam, convert ke apa. Right? Ma'mum's Fatiha very slow. Right? Ma'mum cannot focus when Imam is doing the other surah. So these are all excuses for the Ma'mum, valid excuses, right? So when the Imam finishes Fatiha, Imam reads a super fast surah, and he reads it super fast, right? So in 1 second dah habis the surah. He finishes surah in 1 second. So after the Imam finishes his Fatiha, he reads the surah really quickly. The Ma'mum is still at Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. And just start Fatiha, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Imam Allahu Akbar. Imam ruku' already. Ma'mum, what is Ma'mum doing? Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. Imam i'tidal already. So the Ma'mum is trying to catch the Imam, but before the Ma'mum could finish the Fatiha, the Imam already sujud. Okay, in this situation, the Ma'mum's prayer is not batal because the Ma'mum has an excuse. The Ma'mum is trying to finish his Fatiha, and he was not able to finish together with early enough because the Imam was too fast. Right? Or the Ma'mum was new to Islam, and the Ma'mum is too slow, or the Ma'mum cannot focus when the Imam is reading surah, so the Ma'mum has to do the Fatiha after the Imam reads surah. Which in that case, then you will say to the Ma'mum, read your Fatiha when the Imam reads his Fatiha. And if the Ma'mum cannot focus when the Imam is reading surah, and the Imam does not give a gap between Fatiha and surah for the Ma'mum to read the surah, because it's sunnah for Imams to leave a gap. After Fatiha, before surah, it's sunnah for Imams to keep quiet and leave a gap for the Ma'mums to do their Fatiha. So if Ma'mum says Imam never, my brother is the Imam, my brother never pauses between Fatiha and Surah, never, and then he will forever recite Inna Atayna Kal Kawthar, forever. He will take 2 seconds to read his Surah, right? And then he will ruku, and then he will ruku also, like he says Subhanallah Rabbil Azim wa bihamdi, and he said up one time. Then Sami Allah super fast, and he will sujud. It's impossible to get Fatiha with him. He's a super fast Imam. So to say to the Ma'mum, right, you can take the excuse, right, and you can do your Fatiha, and you are given till the Imam's second sujud to catch up with the Imam. The Imam's second sujud to catch up with the Imam. But if the Ma'mum says very difficult, I cannot focus, then you say to the Ma'mum, okay Ma'mum, you can read Fatiha together with the Imam. If it's really going to be very hard for you, you cannot focus on the Fatiha, if the Imam's too fast, Imam too distracting, Imam too this or that, you cannot do the Fatiha on time, then Ma'mum, you can do the Fatiha while the Imam is doing Fatiha together with the Imam, if you would like. Right? But there is like if you really cannot focus on your Salat while the Imam is reciting a surah. Okay, inshallah, I think I need to finish this off next lesson lah. So this lesson I will continue to from point notes number 71 right, onwards. Okay, so here to bring someone's prayer, if such thing happens, regardless of whether the event will occur during the prayer or it may happen. For example, you say I will stop if Zaid enters. The moment you put a conditional niyat, your niyat tak sah, or your prayer is not sah. Your prayer is not valid. The moment your niyat it has a condition, right? Not to know whether one has terminated or not means one hesitates in one's heart, saying, should I stop intending prayer or continue? Right? The mere thought of it would be if one were to hesitate during the prayer as if of no consequence, rather the occurrence of doubt that negates one's resolve and certainty of what is considered here. Okay, basically someone were to say, should I, if you no more you think to yourself, should I stop my prayer? Should I stop my prayer? So the moment they think to themselves, I think I should stop my prayer, or I should not. I should not. The moment you go, I should not, your prayer already nullified. The moment you go back and forth, should or should not, nullified already. Right? If you are not so sure, is my prayer batal? Did I just nullify my prayer? Is it batal? If you can quickly solve the problem, say to yourself, no, it was 2 movements. It's not batal prayer. Dah, stop. Stop the discussion in your head. Okay, say to yourself, it was only 2 movements. That's not nullify the prayer. Okay, or maybe you clear your throat. Okay, batal or not? Then you say, it was done absent-mindedly. Tak batal. That's not batal the prayer. Okay, not. So straight away you need to stop the thinking. But if that's batal lah. Don't try and convince yourself otherwise. If you move 3 movements, no lah, I think it was 2.5. No. It's 3. It's 3. It's 3. So then you have to nullify your prayer. But the moment it goes back and forth in your head, your prayer is nullified. You cannot continue to pray at that point because you are going into doubt. You're having shak or doubt in your prayer. The moment if you doubt your intention, you come Allahu Akbar into the prayer. Then you think, did I niyat Zuhur or Asar? You forgot. I don't remember at all Zuhur ke Asar I niyat. So the moment you have doubt in your niyat, you have no solat. You have to stop your solat and start again. Okay. Alright, I'm going to stop here for today, inshallah. Next week we'll continue from this part, from 71, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. No questions? No questions, Okay, we take a 2-minute break, then we continue with Arabic in a while.